My name is Anthony Strongheart. Welcome to my channel. And where does the authority lie? This is something that's really critical, man. Where does the authority lie? With these larger institutions, religion and science, the authority lies on some board in the Vatican or some institution, some college. And what are the cultural influences on that? And how is it changing how that organization works? And when you plug into one of these larger cultures, you are beholden to whatever the authority is saying about how that culture is going to be practiced. And this is true for our families too. When we get born into our families, when we plug into our families are protesting a type of culture, and they're doing it for a reason. It comes from somewhere. They're doing it to some degree consciously, to some degree naively, to some degree only because that's all they've known, and to some degree maliciously. And oftentimes they don't even know why they're doing it. They haven't even looked into those reasons for themselves, and yet they're pushing this culture upon us. And oftentimes it's not dosed out correctly. They're not sitting there like the pharmacist. They're not sitting there like a pharmacist measuring out the right dosage and trying to get you exact and trying to look at you and calculate exactly where you need and then giving you the right dose. Oftentimes they're just making a giant batch and throwing it to the wind. Everybody gets the same batch no matter what. And because oftentimes we don't have time to do things that fine-tunedly, which is exactly why what I'm advocating for is self-mastery, self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-consciousness, self-understanding, so that you can figure out the right dose for you, so that you can become your own pharmacist. And that's where the power really lies. That's where the empowerment and the alignment with Creator God and the source lies. But you have to do the work to become that pharmacist. And so our families are often giving us these bulk doses of whatever they got, just because they don't have time to figure anything out, because they're too busy running things, and it's okay. It's part of life. It's part of life. This is what we're born into. This is what we're dealing with. We got hailstorms and windstorms and rainstorms and snowstorms and all kinds of things, trees falling and predators lurking and earthquakes, and that's part of being in the earth, is being in this ecosystem alive with all the dangers, and learning to gain leverage for ourselves, learning to align ourselves and make a way for ourselves that we can be in this world in a powerful and aligned way with Creator God, that we can procreate and raise generations of beautiful human beings who are connected to God and self-empowered and self-regulating, auto-regulating, aligned spiritual pharmacists for themselves, giving beautiful human culture to make humans aligned again. And that's what we're trying to do. But you have to learn to do that for yourself, because most people are not going to be your pharmacist, and even if they are, a large part of them are going to be malicious. Or if they're not being malicious, they're not going to put the care in it that you can put into it. And that's really what it comes down to. If you want something done well, you need to do it yourself. That's the truth, right? If nobody's going to do something really, really well for you, the closest you can get is if you pay as much money as humanly possible. So if you're willing to pay $1 billion for anything, you can get somebody to really do it well. But if you're not willing to pay $1 billion to get somebody to do something, then you're probably going to get a subpar as to the total extent of what it can be done. And there's a happy medium in there. You don't have to pay $1 billion for toothpaste. You can just choose to pay $10 for toothpaste, or $5 for toothpaste, or $20 or $25 for toothpaste, and you probably can get a decent product. There is a balance in there. There is a balance in there, okay? But we have to become our own pharmacists for our own cultural medication, and oftentimes the hardest part of that actually is understanding that some of the things that you hold most sacred and most dear, family, religion, culture, are not always in your best interest. And that doesn't mean we have to throw out those things. It doesn't mean we have to keep those things either. It has to be auto-regulated by your own awareness and your own knowledge. And that's the hard work, because that means changing relationships. That means uncertainty, because when relationships change, things become uncertain, whether or not you'll stick with this or stick with that, whether or not things will ultimately work out or not. And that's the great mystery. That's where faith comes in. We have to have the faith to walk into the mystery so that we can make this life all that it's meant to be. And that faith, that mystery, that love for yourself and for God that's the ultimate. That's everything in life. And when we can prioritize that, we can begin to cull out all the things that are not serving us, and to align more deeply and beautifully and righteously with the things that are our medicine, to align and be strong and be more connected and empowered straight through our connection with God, straight through with what we truly are, Creator God, eternal being, to be more aligned with our hearts, with our souls, and everything that's deeply and truly meaningful in this life. I was talking to some people that live in the town that I live in, and they were talking to me, asking me questions about health. And what I realized after going away from the conversation is that there's more that can be done for their health in the immediate, just letting go of some of the small bad habits that they have, and try to get a little bit more sleep, try to de-stress a little bit more. That would probably do more for their health than making a regimen of going to the gym more. It would be better for them to just get a little bit more rest and de-stress a little bit than to try and go to the gym. And that's how the culture can work sometimes too, is that it's better for us if we just cut out the things that are not serving us. And it can be hard to do that, because when we do that, there will be certain people that feel the shift, that feel the change in how we are, and will be upset that we're not carrying out those traditions anymore. And they don't have to be ancient traditions of Christianity or religion. They can be one generation long tradition of feminism. They can be 2-year long high school friends popular culture of what to do on a Saturday night. That culture, those beliefs, those religious ties, those things, letting go of those things that don't serve us, that can do so much for us. But that's challenging, because that makes us have to face a part of ourselves that has to surrender to life. It's so interesting to me. This is a little bit aside, but it's a banned idea. It's such a terrible thing to say that a woman should surrender to her man. But a man should surrender to God. He absolutely should surrender to God. And we have to surrender to this life. And to have faith is to surrender. Doesn't mean not action. There are places for action. Just because you surrender doesn't mean you can't take action. And we have to become more nuanced with our thinking. It's so silly that we can't even understand that you can surrender and take action. A man in a trench on a battlefield is fighting another enemy and is ready to surrender, and he puts up the white flag. He's surrendering to the enemy. He's also tying a flag onto his stick and waving it in the air, which is an action. So he's surrendering and acting at the same time. And this is part of life. We're so silly. We're so silly that we can't think more nuanced. But I guess that's what this video is about, is to be able to think more nuancedly. No, if that's a word, nuancedly. So action and surrender are not in some void. We're always acting and surrendering to things. Even when we leave things as they are, we don't change any culture. We just carry on exactly how we are, which is an action, is also surrendering to what has always been, to how we've always been. That's surrendering to the culture. So we surrender all the time. There are plenty of angry feminists out there berating everybody and telling them, how dare you surrender to a man? Never surrender to a man. But they are surrendered to feminism and the culture of feminism. And the whole herd of females propagating such a culture. They're totally surrendered to that. But they won't surrender to a man. Surrender is not a bad term. Surrender is a beautiful thing. We all do it. Surrender is part of life. When you sleep, you surrender. When you walk through your day, even though you don't have wings that grow out of your back and you can't fly, you're surrendering to the reality of that. You can't fly with wings. You don't have wings to go and fly around the world like a butterfly. And so you're surrendered to that. You surrender to that every day. And surrender is a good thing. And action is a good thing. And action isn't the solving of all your problems. And surrendering isn't the solving of all your problems. You need to be able to act. You need to be able to surrender. And you need to know when to do each. It's like walking from left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. Breathe in, breathe out. Surrender and act. Surrender and act. And so it's important that we are able to let go of things that are not serving us. And it's important that we are able to hold on to things that are serving us as well. So I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater. Simply all I'm saying is that we need to be able to become our own pharmacists that guide our own life and understand where and how much of what kind of culture is appropriate and not appropriate for ourselves. We have to learn to do that for ourselves and stop outsourcing that to a priest, a shaman, a scientist, a politician, a guru, an influencer, a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a child. And we have to learn how to do that for ourselves, because everybody out there isn't going to do that to such a refined degree. And if we wait for the world to refine it before we start refining it for ourselves, we will be waiting till the end of time. And that's the truth. The world is going to move at the rate that it moves. And we have to be willing to make the changes that we need and desire and want in our lives in this moment now, and to have the faith and the courage to follow through with that, and to be able to have the surrender to God to let the chips fall where they may from that. And that's the hard, spiritual, true work. That's true spiritual self-development. Now, there are all kinds of ways that humans we twist everything. We twist religion, we twist science, we twist politics, we twist government, we twist corporate culture and business, we twist family dealings and loyalties. We twist everything under the sun to gain leverage over another, to disempower another so that we can be in control of them or dominant over them. And so this concept is a spiritual concept that I'm putting forth is also been twisted many times. You see all these women that are leaving their family, getting a divorce, separating the family and the children just so that they can feel love and passion and for a man that they'll never be able to marry. You know, it's basically reckless behavior. People twist this idea with reckless behavior, going into drugs and alcohol, breaking up their families for no good reason. They twist that and they say, look, I'm doing something spiritual, but really they're not. Really, they're just behaving recklessly. But there are people that twist the other way too. There are people that say, see, you should stay with your family, you should keep the family together, you should stay in the religion, you should follow the rules, you should fall in line and stay with the culture, be loyal, be totally loyal. And they're saying that to control and dominate you, but not to empower and embetter you. And they only want you to stay loyal so that you stay controllable and not successful. And so we twist everything. So there's loyalty to the religion and the culture and the faith, and we twist it so that we use it to dominate, control, and imprison people. And there's breaking away from the culture and letting go of connections, and people use it to empower themselves, and they push it and press it upon you so you'll be lost and lack success as well, and that you'll be disempowered as well. And so we twist every kind of thing. That's why I say breaking away from culture, staying loyal to culture. Two sides of the spectrum. Both of them can be medicine in the right dose at the right time. And both of them can be poison with the wrong dose at the wrong time. And so you have to become your own pharmacist to understand when to surrender, when to hold on, when to act, when to move on, when to do the right thing, when to walk away. You have to become your own purveyor of connection to reality, your own guide, your own leader. And you have to be able to have trust and have faith in your direction and your decisions. And that means analyzing them and being able to double back if you need to double back, and being able to carry on when you need to carry on. And the only one that can say that is you. So you must become wise to it. You must become knowledgeable of it. And we have to become our own pharmacists for all of that. We have to become our own dolers out of the right dosage of all those things. And not all those things are always the important thing for us, you know. And I think a lot of times too, people only know what they know. So some of our family, they only know the culture that they were raised in. They don't have anything else to offer us. That's the only thing they have to offer us, is the culture that they were offered themselves. And it just is what it is, you know. People can only give us what they can give us. And sometimes what we need isn't what people can give us, and we have to be willing to go somewhere else and get the things that we need. Another point I wanted to make in all of that, a religion might have a certain idea about Christ, but the usage of that idea by our priest or by our church can be used in all kinds of ways. My name is Anthony Strongheart. We'll see you in the next one.